Okay, so this is the final piece of Jeff Loeb's legacy out of Marvel Television, and before everything got absorbed by Marvel Studios by Kevin Feige. Hellstrom is one last series that we're gonna watch from the guy that brought us a lot of things, including, but not limited to, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Just by looking at the trailer of Marvel and Hulu's Hellstrom, I'm liking what I'm seeing so far, so welcome back guys to another one of my Marvel videos and my breakdown of the trailer of Marvel's Hellstrom. Okay, so as per the usual when I'm breaking these kind of things down, let's first check out the trailer and then discuss the details and break it all down.
There he is.
My boy.
Mommy, dearest. I know you set something loose on this world. What was it?
I think you know. No stone unturned.
My body is my body
This family's unnatural behavior. I've never experienced anything like it.
Alright, so the first person to talk on this trailer, there he is, my boy. That's pretty much Victoria Hellstrom out of the comics. Victoria Hellstrom is mother to both of the two other people that we see in that room at the beginning of the trailer, Damon Hellstrom and Satana Hellstrom, even though Satana Hellstrom is going to be known on the series as Anna Hellstrom, so just the last 3 letters of her name are taken for her name on the series. Now, the name of Satana is the female derivative of her father's name, Satan on the pages of the comics. But let us start though by talking Victoria Hellstrom, who on the pages of the comics was originally part of a cultist family, a Satanist one at that, and she was sold by her parents into the Chapel of Dresden, yet another Satanist occultist group, one that on the pages of the comics, and to sound even more evil, were actually connected at some point to Hitler, like they had ties with the guy. Now, what the Chapel of Dresden did is they pretty much branded her womb with magical markings, demonic markings, and that was because they saw her as a good fit in order to breed their newest high priest and priestess. Now, because of these markings, Mardock Kurios, the demon, also known as Satan, and a member of the Hell Lords, would end up marrying Victoria, would end up having 2 children with her. The first of these 2 kids was Damon, and then a year and a half later, they also had Satana. But alright though, let's switch to Mardock for a moment. Now Mardock would try to teach both his kids the art of black magic, the forbidden art, and while both of them would learn, Satana would actually embrace it, while Damon would reject it, which brought Satana closer to her father, while Damon ended up closer to his mother. And that kind of closeness on the pages of the comics is indicated by that very first scene on this trailer. There he is, my boy. That though brings us to a very important question. Are we gonna end up seeing Mardock on the series? I'm not really certain. He doesn't seem to be credited. No actor seems to be credited with the name Mardock or anything close, so the jury is still kind of out on that one. I don't think we're gonna see him though. But anyway though, I've got this feeling that they might have mashed up both parents into one character, like the background stories of both parents, or at least the doings of both parents on the pages of the comics, their actions, into the character of Victoria, the mother. Now the reason I say that is that the mother is definitely acting weird. I mean, she is institutionalized as well on the pages of the comics, gonna talk about that in a moment, but nonetheless, she's acting weirder as an institutionalized Victoria as opposed to the pages of the comics. But allow me though to drop this one out there before I move back or circle back to the mother. Now the thing about the father over here is there's an animosity on the pages of the comics between him and the son. There's that photo that we see of the entire family, the 2 parents, the 2 children, and the face of the father is carved out of that photo, stricken over on that photo. So I'm kind of hoping over here that we're gonna end up seeing the father at some point down the road in the run of this series. Now, the animosity did not really start because Hellstrom rejected his father and his ways. That just created the separation, the distancing, but the father would later on come back to the son, when he grows up a little bit, like 21 years of age or something, and he would ask him to rule next to him, by his side. But Damon, though, would still reject his father, would still reject his offer, which was really a package deal, including, but not limited to, both eternal life and eternal power. But that's not just it. He would also steal his father's netheranium trident. The trident he's known for on the pages of the comics. That was stolen from his father, and stealing it would also mean a reduction to his father's powers. On the other hand, there was Satana, who followed in her father's footsteps, ended up becoming a devourer of souls, making her father all the way through into one proud demonic entity, taking her back as well to his hell realm. But the succubus that Satana is on the pages of the comics, though, is not really all evil. I mean, she starts that way, she starts following in her father's footsteps, but she would also end up going to the good side after her father puts her to a test that she fails because she starts realizing, oh, he is behind this, oh, I'm not gonna do that. He did banish her, and he did send her back to Earth. Now, because Satana on the pages of the comics is connected to a whole bunch of characters like Doctor Strange, like Luke Cage, I'm expecting to see a lot of Easter eggs on the series, and especially to Luke Cage, especially that's the one that's really easier to do on the series, with the Luke Cage series being a property of Marvel Television rather than Marvel Studios, even though I'd still expect that every now and then they would Easter egg characters like Doctor Strange with minor Easter eggs, but nonetheless give us some Easter eggs, minor references at least. I mean, it's not just a connection to these two or connections to these two, there's the connection to Patsy Walker, because in the comics she ends up becoming Hellstrom's wife, Damon's that is, and there's also the connection to Dormammu. So yeah, a lot of things out of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, either out of the television side or the movie side, could end up being referenced on this series. Really easy, and as per the comics. But circling back though to Victoria, the mother walking in on the father, her husband, preparing this ritual, one that included Satana, Mardock, who took the form of a human being in order to get with her, in order to have these two kids, would reveal who he really is. Like, I'm Mardock, you were just being used for this, you were just a vessel to bring these kids into the world, my children. Now that would lead to her nervous/psychological breakdown, one that ended up with her institutionalized just like she is on the series at this point. Is this origin story going to be changed? Possibly. I think yes. I think it's going to be a little bit different. But at the same time, no matter what, changed or not, even if completely changed, in one case it's going to be a solid Easter egg to the comics that she is institutionalized on the series, and in the other case, if it is exactly or mostly the same story, then that would mean that this is a solid parallel to the origin story on the pages of the source material. But that also brings us to the one obvious difference here. Victoria, on the pages of the comics, would die before Damon is even 21, way before that, while he was actually a teenager. So pretty much Victoria should not exist at this point if they were doing this story exactly by the comics. That's exactly why moments ago I mentioned, they're gonna be changing this story by a little bit, if not by a lot. But to add to the possible differences over here, the possible variations, there's the talk by Satana or Anna on the series, Mommy Dearest, I think you set something loose on this world. That means that the mother is not really from this world, or she is possessed in a way, which also means that the story is deviating heavily away from the pages of the comics. That's why I said at the beginning as well, I'm thinking the mother is going to be replacing both parents. She's going to be both the father and the mother on the series. That's why we notice the voice changing as well when she's talking to Damon at the very beginning. Also, as you may have noticed, they're definitely skipping over that part where Satana follows in her father's footsteps before she actually ends up being banished, before she actually gets back to Earth, and before she ends up being a better person. So we're going into a season with Anna being on the side of her brother. But before I move on to the rest of the trailer, there's not really much to say about the rest of the trailer in terms of a breakdown, but what I want to add over here is just like Satana on the pages of the comics starts off as bad, turns good, and then by the way, and in a way turns back to bad later on, Hellstrom does start off as good, but does turn to evil down the road, like goes from hero to villain. The breaking point that changes him on the pages of the comics is the death of his wife, of Hellcat, when she kills herself at some point. So just like the man has been a member of team-ups like the Defenders and the Howling Commandos, he does also end up becoming a member of villainous team-ups like the Hellfire Club, like the Hell Lords. So yeah, he's not all good and not all bad on the pages of the comics. He's a lot more complex character with a lot of turning points. But speaking though of the rest of the trailer, most of it is all about those, regular action scenes that we're going to be watching on the series. Not going to talk about them much, but you can see them throughout this video on my screen as screenshots. There are only two more things about the trailer that I'm going to discuss over here before I move to the synopsis of the first 3 episodes. Not that I'm going to discuss much about them, but at least we could get a hint of what the series is going to be all about on its first 3 episodes. Okay, so the first thing over here is we do see different looks to their mother. Like at some point she looks okay, at another point she looks completely evil. And that kind of goes to prove the point I'm talking about earlier. She's probably gonna be filling in for both parents. Like she's possibly the loving mother inside, and that kind of comes out to life at times, but at the same time she's possibly possessed by the father character that we may or may not see on this season of the series. Another thing that we get to see at the end of this trailer is the woman saying this family's unnatural behavior. I've never seen anything like it. That is actress Ariana Guerra, and she's going to be portraying the character of Gabriella Rossetti, who's a fill-in for the character of Gabriel Rossetti out of the comics. Rossetti on the pages of the source material is known as the Devil Hunter, so you could imagine how strained her relationship is going to be with both Damon and his sister, and with the series probably being more about Damon than his sister, we're talking more the relationship between her and Damon. But that though brings us to the last bit on my plate over here, and that's all about the synopsis of the first 3 episodes of the first season of Hellstrom. The titles of the episodes are Mother's Little Helpers, that's the first one, Viaticum is the second one, The One Who Got Away is the third one. The synopsis of the first one reads, Damon Hellstrom investigates a possessed young boy, and Hellstrom stages an auction to expose a criminal. Disturbing events at St. Teresa's cause concern as the sibling's estranged mother remains hospitalized. So what's going on over here is what we watched on the trailer. We're gonna watch that visit to their mother on the very premiere of the season. But that though brings us to the synopsis of the second episode. A horrific accident leads Damon and Gabriella fighting to save a man's soul while a dark force attempts to stop them. Meanwhile, Yen's relationship with his work takes a dark turn towards obsession, and a discovery leads Anna back to St. Teresa's. But finally, the title of the third episode, The One Who Got Away, does refer to their father. Not sure yet we're gonna see him, but we're definitely gonna hear a lot about him. The synopsis does confirm that as well. Damon and Anna learn more about the destruction their father left in his wake. With Gabriella, they pay a visit to a potential victim and find themselves in deeper than they ever could have imagined. Hastings, and I'm not really sure who Hastings is in this context, but he shocks Caretaker with a stunning revelation. These are 2 characters we heard about on those synopses that I do not really know who they're referring to, basically Yen and Hastings. However, though, we are getting a general idea about the series is going to be much clearer when we get the first few episodes or the entire season. I'm not really sure yet if they're dropping the entire thing in one go, or they're just dropping the first 3 like the way Disney Plus does and the way Apple TV does, and then dropping one after the other over the weeks to follow. That said though, my work here is done, so let me know in the comments down below what you thought of this trailer. Let me know if you're excited about Hellstrom. I know we're all sad that we didn't actually get a Ghost Rider series, but I'm still hoping we might end up seeing Robbie Reyes as Ghost Rider on the final season of Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., or possibly on one of these episodes of Hellstrom. Not sure yet if Kevin Feige is gonna allow it, with him wanting the Ghost Rider character all to himself for the movies, but nonetheless, I'm sure hoping we do get a visit here or there on either series by the Ghost Rider. But you can let me know as well if you did like this video by dropping it one of those much appreciated likes, subscribing to this channel, and make sure while you're at it to enable notifications in order to get updates whenever I upload a new video, publish a new community post, or start a new live stream. But until you tune in for another one of my videos, thank you so much for tuning into this one. Stay safe and have a great day.